You know, since this channel is called Dutch Pagans, it might be a good idea to start discussing some really local Dutch and slash Germanic deities with you. That's what we're doing today. Her name is Tanfana, and I've been hesitant to talk with you about her. That has two reasons. The first reason is there's very little known in the official sources about this goddess. And the second is my personal experience with her is very limited, to say the least. So I always figured that there wasn't really enough to make a YouTube video. But as of today, I also have two really good reasons to share this story with you. One is today is exactly the right day to come here and to say her name and to honor her. And because that's what I'm doing with this video, shining some light and giving her some of my energy and attention. And by watching this, you're also giving some of your attention to her. This is exactly the right day to do it, and I'll let you know why in the second part of this video. The second reason why it's good to talk about her is, well, even though the sources are scarce and my experience is very little, the place where she was used to worship, that's not a good sentence, but the place where she was worshipped is very close to my house, like a 10-minute drive. So yes, in case you're wondering, we are in her forest right now. This used to be the home of a tribe called the Marsi tribe. And the Marsi tribe, among other tribes in this region, prayed to a goddess named Tanfana. So I will take you to the place where she was worshipped. We can talk about her. So we are getting closer and closer to the place where she was worshipped. Now, places of pagan worship, they weren't just casually picked, of course. It wasn't like, oh, you just kind of do it over there, I suppose. No. They had a larger connection to the earth, and they could feel when a place was sacred. So that's where we're going. And the more you walk up these hills, the more you start feeling there's a certain energy coming towards you. But before I show you that, I want to tell you what the official sources say about Tanfana. By the way, there's also a debate. Some people say it's Tanfana with an M. Some people say it's Tanfana with an N. I haven't decided yet in what camp I fall. Now, I have some notes here with me. Some of you may say this is very unprofessional to bring some notes to a YouTube video, but in my experience, recording a YouTube video is a lot like taking a shit. It helps if you have a piece of paper. So, what I'm reading from is Germania by Tacitus. If you don't know, and if you're looking for good books on pre-Christian Europe, this is not just a good book, this is one of the good books. So what I have here, I copied some stuff of all the things that he said about Tanfana. Now, what he is describing is a battlefield in the year 14. The Roman legion under the command of General Germanicus ambushed the Marsi tribe while they were celebrating a feast for the goddess Tanfana. Our legion was helped by bright starlight. We reached the villages of the Marsi and threw their pickets around the enemy, who, even then, were stretched out on beds or tables. They didn't show the least bit of fear. The General Germanicus ravaged a space of 50 miles with sword and fire. Neither sex nor age moved his compassion. Everything sacred or profane, the temple too of Tanfana, as they call it, the special resort of all those tribes in the area, was leveled to the ground. There was not a wound among our soldiers, who cut down half-asleep, unarmed foes. So that was the historical account of what happened. They found a tribe asleep and they murdered them. Now, I said in the first part, today is the right day. Let me explain what I mean by that. Well, today is the 23rd of September, just the day after the fall equinox. If you look at the date of when this was written down in Rome, and if you subtract by that the travel time that it takes to get from here, the east of Holland, to Rome on a horseback, what you get is that the massacre took place around the 22nd of September, just yesterday. Why? Because they were celebrating, or basically lying hungover on the table because of a feast of Tanfana. So why would they hungover and having a feast? Because it was the autumn equinox. So what does this deity do and represent? By the way, this is the official sources. That's it. There's nothing more. This is what it is. So there are lots of debates about what this goddess represents, but we don't know anything for sure. There's a debate that she represents harvest, that her name somehow implied something full, like the fullness of the grain. That could be true. There's also evidence to suggest, there's a school of thought, people who believe that she represents time or astrological events, which I'm more inclined to say. What we do know is that she was worshipped just around this time. So I'm going to walk up there. I'm going to show you where she was worshipped. By the way, it's not only energetically beautiful, it's physically beautiful because it's a hill. And I'll tell you why that hill was specifically important, not just energetically, but practically for the tribes of this region. And what I'm going to do there is I'm going to make a little offering to her, say her name, probably not do that on camera, and see if I can kind of invite her into my heart. And hopefully try and gain knowledge that way. Because when official sources fail, we go back and see if we can do it like the old ones did it, like our ancestors did it. Maybe learn to trust our own personal insights and own personal gnosis. Okay, come, I will show you. This is where you really start moving up the hill, really start feeling the energy, and there's a really nice view. Let's go. Welcome to quite possibly the best backdrop I've ever had for a talk I did on this channel, because we're on a hill that's very special for Holland. Let me show you the view. Look at that now. For Holland, that's spectacular. You can look all the way up into Germany here. Now, I have a friend who's really into geology, and he told me something about this area, because it's a special area. Not only is, of course, the hill is special, especially in olden times, because you want the hill, you want the high ground, you can see people coming, but there are also several water sources in these hills. And of course, water is life, so water is incredibly important, especially in olden days. But what happens here is there are a lot of water sources that aren't below on the hill, they're almost on top of the hill. He told me it's because of a special, I don't know if you call it turf or peat, but they're like stacks of earth, and they kind of push the water up. So you have a hill, which is already important, and you have a water source, which is also extremely important. So you can tell that this area in olden times must have been important, and there were a lot of battles fought here. This is the view. You can see actually here, there's a little plate from the local government telling you what this is and what grows. And there's also mention of the goddess Tanfana, which is nice. I believe this wasn't here the first time I got here. Where we are is at the Tankenberg. And it is said that Tan is a reference to Tanfana. So this whole mountain range. Can we call it a mountain range? People from America will laugh at me. But in Holland, this is a mountain range. Okay, stick with me. this whole area was named after her. Now I will show you, there's a little structure on here, there's a little dome. This isn't of course the official temple to Tanfana, this is just something that was erected on a later date. What used to be here was of course the temple, but it was destroyed in the year 14. Was a giant massive stone which they moved to the local church. Of course it still resides there in Oldenzaal. I will show you this, but the funny thing is, every time I come here, it doesn't matter what season is, what the weather is, there are usually some people sitting here. That's one in part because it has a nice view, but I believe it's also people who are more of a sensitive nature, because even the local city government with the plaque right there speaks of this is a very special junction of certain ley lines. If you don't know ley lines, I should probably link my ley line video in the description of this, but there are certain energy lines and this is where they all cross. So even if you're not of a sensitive nature, when you come here, there's something here and you can't explain what it is, but it feels good. So this is an old sacred place. Let me show you the little dome that they built here. Here we have the little shrine. And here we have what it overlooks. One of Holland's hidden pearls. Here we are inside that little dome. And here's a plaque where it said, here used to be the temple to the goddess Tanfana, renovated in 1955. Now, I want to add something. This isn't part of the official texts, but around this part in Holland, there's a nature spirit. The nature spirit is called the Witte Wieven. And legend has it that they're connected to this goddess Tanfana. Now, who are the Witte Wieven? Well, you probably know by now that the witches, that's all propaganda basically. That's to make the next generation fear the wise women who live in the woods and who still practice the calling of spirits, to block them off from that wisdom. The Witte Wieven are the spirits of those wise women. They are the spirits of the female ancestors who practiced witchcraft. They manifest physically as a white fog. Whenever there's this really thick white fog, that you also, by the way, that starts to come again in the fall. The white fogs in the early morning, those are called the Witte Wieven. So maybe that story is also just the witches is to make you afraid of the women who still live in the forest and who still know the old ways. The Witte Wieven is here to make you afraid of their spirit, of the witches that they murdered, basically. But Tanfana is said to be the queen of the Witte Wieven. I don't know if that is true. Maybe that's also just to connect Tanfana with something that they made you fear. So you would fear the goddess. Maybe there's some truth to it. I mean, we have many examples like Odin or Freya or Loki, deities who are very multidimensional, pun intended, who have different facets. And this could be one of her facets. She might have been somebody you call for when you need advice about female issues, or you want the wisdom of your female bloodline, or you want the healing. You know, the Volvas, the Trollridas, the Mekridas, the whatever they were called. Maybe she resides over that knowledge. So, I thank you for watching. And if you like more of this very regional Dutch/Germanic content, you know what to do. I'll be doing a small offering and a small ceremony when I'm done recording this. But for now, I'll just sit here and enjoy this gorgeous view. Thanks for coming with me. Till next time, go with the gods. Ga met de goden.